Today we're going to be talking about Todd Monken. He's been getting a lot of interest for NFL teams to be their offensive coordinator, and why the New York Jets should throw all of the money, and I mean all of the money, at Todd Monken to pull him away from Georgia to be the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. This is by far my favorite candidate of the three guys that I'd be okay with the New York Jets bringing in. Let's talk about it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and like I said, we're going to be talking about Todd Monken, so let's hop right into it. Let's talk about this incredibly good offensive coordinator that could get the job and why it's probably not likely. So, Todd Monken, for those of you who don't know, was actually someone that the New York Jets brought in to interview for the head coaching role when we were doing the whole search the Sam Darnold year after we fired Todd Bowles. And unfortunately, we made the wrong decision and went with Adam Gase, which let Todd Monken go back to Tampa Bay to be their offensive coordinator, and then ultimately leaving Tampa Bay to go to Cleveland to be the offensive coordinator for 1 year before that whole staff got canned. And then after that, he goes to Georgia. And at Georgia, created and built one of the most insane offensive programs in the country, taking players that really have limited ceilings when you look at their skill set on paper and turning them into stars and future first-round picks, second-round picks, and NFL stars. We're going to talk about all of that coming up. Now, the New York Jets should be incredibly interested for a couple of reasons. One, he runs a really, really pro-ready offense in the NFL, and in college, that translates to the NFL really, really well. But I think more importantly is his game planning and adjustment ability and being able to instill a game plan really quickly in college students. When you take into consideration that all of these guys are full-time students at the college level, have to go to classes and do all of that stuff, and on top of that had to add the game plan implementation every single week for Saturday football, and he was able to go from one game being an air raid offense, throwing 40 times that game, 6 touchdowns through the air, doing all to the very next game being an RPO. They threw the ball 11 times, they rushed for 250 to the very next game, just taking what the defense gave them. His game planning and adjustment at the college level was done at such a high level, especially when you take the consideration that he hasn't had an NFL quarterback under center at all. A lot of these teams that are competing for college football championships and all of these things require and base their whole competition on the fact that they've got first-round NFL quarterbacks on their roster and first-round NFL wide receivers on their roster. And largely in part, he hasn't had those types of guys on the offensive side of the ball. Now, he's had an insane offensive line track record, and we'll go over that in a second. But when you take a look at all of that, what he was able to do and the fact that he just led Georgia to another championship in the college ranks really, really bodes well. But I think the thing that interests me the most is his coaching track record. So what do I mean by that? Well, when he started his coaching career in the 90s at Eastern Michigan, he was actually a wide receivers coach. He was a DB/wide receiver coach at Eastern Michigan. And when he was given the offensive coordinator job at Eastern Michigan, he also retained the wide receiver coach job. So he knows at an in-depth and at a personal level how to coach wide receivers. And why is that interesting to the New York Jets? Well, because we have an insanely young wide receiver room that needs these young guys to step up in a big way. We know that Garrett Wilson is that dude, but Elijah Moore, and you can blame Mike LaFleur, and I'd hear that, and I understand that, did have a fall off this year. If Todd Monken can come in, bring his staff, but also on a personal level help Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, our second round pick from a couple of years ago, Braxton Berrios, and help rejuvenate all of these guys' careers that are currently on the roster, that'd be a big, big deal and massive value from the offensive coordinator position. Let's keep going, because after he left Eastern Michigan to go to Louisiana Tech, well, not only was he the wide receivers coach there, but he was also a running backs coach. So he is another position where he coached, where he has an in-depth knowledge. And with the fact that we have Breece Hall going into his second year, Michael Carter going into his third year, Zonovan Knight going into his second year, we have so many good offensive weapons in the running back room. Having an offensive coordinator who knows the running back position a little bit deeper and actually coached that position is of massive value. And guys, it doesn't end there. After he leaves Louisiana Tech and goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars to be a wide receiver coach at the NFL level, when he leaves Jacksonville to go to Oklahoma State, and what he's currently doing at Georgia is what? He is the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. He did that at Oklahoma State in 2011 and 2012, but he's also been doing it at Georgia since 2020. So with the fact that we have Zach Wilson and he's going to be on this roster, and one of the things that we're going to expect our offensive coordinator coming in to do is to develop and fix Zach Wilson. This is huge. Todd Monken has a skill set as a coach to help every level of the offensive game, not just in a game planning or a playbook level, but a one-on-one coaching level, and that's huge, something that we couldn't say about Mike LaFleur and probably can't say about any of the other candidates on the list. Now let's talk about his track record of just offensive guys that are being taken since he went there. Andrew Thomas in 2020, Isaiah Wilson in 2020, DeAndre Swift, Solomon Kindley, all first-round guys taken, except for Solomon Kindley. DeAndre Swift should have been in the first round. He was taken 35th in the second round. But all of these guys, NFL talent after the first year that Monken was there. Can't probably give him all the credit there, so let's move on to 2020, his first real year. And when we look at, this is the track record that I'm saying, where he doesn't have a bunch of first-round talents, and this offense is firing. If we look at the offensive players that are drafted coming out of the Georgia program, Ben Cleveland in 2021 was the highest offensive player taken out of Georgia. Guard went to Baltimore, and then Trey McKitty to the Los Angeles Chargers in the 90s at 97. There just isn't a bunch of players that are leaving Georgia's offense and going to play at the NFL at a very high level. And he's still able to get these guys to play at an insanely high level in college. Again, taking advantage of the skill sets of the players that he has. Let's continue this trend. Let's look at last year. Last year, we know that Georgia had a bunch of players taken, but how many of these offensive players were taken in the first round? None. I don't think there was a single Georgia player taken in the top 50. I think the highest player taken on offense was George Pickens, taken at 52 to the Steelers. And while I like George Pickens and I like James Cook, taking number 63 overall, these guys aren't first-round talents. These guys aren't anything that's insane when it comes to the NFL level, but they were incredibly productive at Georgia. I think that trend is going to continue this year, with the only first-round talent coming out of Georgia on the offensive side of the ball being Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle. This is huge news, and this is a big, big thing for the New York Jets. I think it is totally worth going and throwing the absolute bag at Todd Monken to try to pull him away from Georgia. It is going to be harder said than done. The life and the career that he has at Georgia is unmatched by what he's been able to do at the NFL at any level or at any other college as what he's done before. And the cushy lifestyle that he has at Georgia is going to be hard to be matched by any NFL team, let alone the New York Jets. But if he's interested in coming to the NFL as an offensive coordinator, the Jets need to be the very first team to make that call, need to be the team that makes and tries to bring him in on an interview. And if he comes in the building, you don't let him walk out, in my opinion. Guys, let me know what you think about Todd Monken and his expectations for the NFL level, and should the New York Jets go after him? I think they do, and I think they should. Let me know in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.